What's going on, everybody? You're back with Shades. We're gonna continue our Let's Play of Katawa Shoujo. Last time we left off, we went to the track meet with Rin and Emmy to watch Emmy run on the track, and now we're here after the track, and everyone's still crazy, and we're gonna talk. And we also met Emmy's mom, but because we're not on Emmy's path, her mom is kind of just a superfluous addition. Yay! Anyway. Rin yawns without even trying to restrain herself and shuffles her feet around restlessly. I feel awkward, but less so than if I was with someone else. Still, I'm left hanging, not knowing what I should say next. Emmy was great, wasn't she? She was great. I am very jealous of her. Why? Like I said, don't you think it's great to be able to really be yourself? Wow. I guess, like, going on Rin's route is, hey, do you like philosophy? It sounds weird coming from Rin. I don't think you, of all people, should have trouble finding a way to express yourself. Don't you have your paintings? She turns to look at me. For the first time, I see in her eyes this strange, hollow expression that I think must be unique to her. No, you see, the problem is that I'm not really sure who I am. You're having an existential crisis at 14? You okay, Rin? You see the doctor? Wow, I could have added this to the last part. That would have been a better note to end on. Jesus Christ. Whatever, I'm already here, so fuck it. I've done this myself like 10 times throughout this playthrough. Who cares? Today's art club meeting is currently on hold while everyone waits for Nomiya to show up. I take this time to try and explain my theory about Yamaku to Rin. I've tried to figure out what exactly about the school feels so special to me. That concept I so unsuccessfully tried to explain to Yuko the other day. It's still difficult, but the track meet and the time I've spent observing my fellow students have helped my ideas mature a little. Have you noticed that people talk all the time? Oh, whoops, I thought that was her. I can't really explain it, but once again I try to explain my observation. I'm struggling for words. The student body is heavily clicked, and I'm only now beginning to make a sense of the intricate grouping and popularity networks. And yet the feeling of being a part of a group is stronger here than I remember being in my old schools. I'm trying to say that the school isn't like other schools, or at least the students aren't, even after discounting the obvious. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what you mean. Oh, well, whatever then. I want to pursue the issue, but at that point Nomiya arrives. The teacher is wiping sweat from his forehead with a handkerchief and breathing rather heavily. He quickly glances over the room and settles down a bit. Hello, hello! Apologies for being late. Oopsies. Is everyone present? Good. I must confess, I haven't really planned anything for today, as I've been extremely busy lately. But I'm sure we can come up with something entertaining. Anyone have any suggestions? I was thinking that we could have a discussion circle, since we haven't had one in a while. I at least found that the last one magnificently enjoyable. There are some murmurs here and there, but nobody raises their voice in support of or against Nomiya. We could delve into various movements of art, or does someone have a good topic in mind? Come on, throw it out there! Doesn't matter if it's silly or odd, we can always cook up something interesting. Nobody seems brave enough to make a suggestion. As an awkward silence refuses to be broken, I lift my hand in the air. Oh, our newest friend seems to have something on his mind. Speak up, my boy! Speak up! Well, I don't know about anyone else, but I've always wondered why art exists in the first place. My voice trails off, a silence sets in the room, and nobody makes a follow-up with my meek suggestion. Wow, that's a big question. That's genuinely a big question, because, like, well, from my perspective, being a guy who has, like, seen a couple works of his, like, historical documentaries and shit like that. Like, the original, I guess you could call them art pieces, were like cavemen, like, drawing recordings of what they've seen on caves, on cave walls. That's it. So, like, I guess you could consider that art, but it was also a recording. And, like, people, like who have paintings of themselves, like, usually, typically just recordings of things, and now we look back on them and find hidden meaning. For all we know, they don't have any meaning. But, you know, that's art. Then the teacher bursts in laughter. Oh, excellent! Very good indeed. Right out of the gate with the big one, huh? Fabulous! Chuckling, he shifts some paper around on his desk for a few moments. When he's done, he appears to have made some sort of decision. Very well then, let's run with this and see where it gets us, shall we? Oh my, even an old fogey like me gets excited when such delicious enthusiasm is present. Oh my, is his tongue out? What? Let me gather my thoughts in a moment so I can figure out a good starting point for everyone. For some reason, the teacher seems to be almost literally bursting with excitement. He scribbles a few things down on a loose sheet of paper, then cleans his glasses with a handkerchief. He then strikes a pose, then freezing for an overtly dramatic artistic pause, then spans for what must be half a minute. It's so quiet you can hear a pin drop. First, let's come up with a few questions that we want answered, such as what is art and why does art exist? Does anyone have any questions that might be related? The boy with sunglasses pipes up almost immediately. His voice is soft and quiet, and I have a hard time making out what he says. What defines an artist? After him, another question comes up. If I fill a cardboard box with water and call it art, is it art? Everyone laughs at that, even the teacher. Great! Wonderful, all of these! I mean, there was that art installation that was literally nothing. There was just blank, empty, the things, what are they? Oh, God. The glass enclosures, those things, they were just blank. There was that fucking art installation that makes me so pissed off, like, it's art, and it got me millions of dollars. Like, no. Like, the thing is, like, art, unfortunately, in a monetary way, and in a let's get attention sort of way, can be utterly bullshit. Can be so utterly bullshitted. It's such a shame. Because, like, I'm the person that, like, believes that, like, at least visual arts, or art in general, needs to have something the senses can take in. Nothing is nothing. Empty air is nothing. That's not art to me. Art to me is something that you can hold in your hand, you could see with your eyes, you could hear with your ears. Something that can be grasped by one of your various senses of the human body. Like that's art to me. Like, I may not understand paintings, or visual art, or music, or these stupid sculptures I made in middle school, but like that's art to me. It could be bullshit, but someone else could find joy in them. I don't, it's just like, yeah, technically art's a gray area, and those fucking empty fucking bullshit art installations where it's just blank empty enclosures. Yeah, that lands in the gray area technically. But for me, it's the gray area leading toward this is bullshit. It gets me mad. Because that guy got millions of dollars for that. And I've seen so many artists on Twitter and Tumblr who deserve just as much money. Oops, I muted it. Let me start by saying that this is not a clear-cut issue by any means. As such, I'm not going to give any answers to you. I'm only going to speak from my own perspective. Scholars have argued about these sort of questions since time immemorial, and there have never really been a broadly applicable consensus reached. There are, however, some qualities that most tend to generally agree upon. Hopefully you all should find this acceptable as well. In short, art defines itself. It simply cannot be contained in a definition from the outside, since the boundaries of art expand and contract from the forces within. Every day, someone somewhere comes up with something completely outrageous that challenges all preconceptions. The core reason for this is that rather than the rational side of the mind, art appeals to the intuition, the instinct, the primal. You would find it very hard to explain why exactly it is that you enjoy some particular style or piece, no? That is true. There are a lot of artists out there whose art style I prefer. Like, Nom Nom Nami, who created some of my favorite indie games as of yet. They're all walking sims, but I still love them. Some dating sims as well, some visual novels as well. But yeah, I love her art style. It's just really cute. I guess I could call it simple. It's just really down to earth and soft and cute and super pastel, and I love it. And then there's one of my favorite art streamers, actually one of the few art streamers I follow, DMJH93, links to these guys in the description, whose art style is more typically anime. It's his own style of anime, and I really, really like it. He's also an artist for Pokemon Academy Life. He's actually the main artist for Pokemon Academy Life, and I love his art. And I can't say why I like it. I just really do, because those are probably the two spectrums of art that I love. Really cute and really hyper realistic and epic. Cause Nami's art I love. Whenever she's been doing Inktober recently, and I've seen her post characters of her characters, and they're just really cute. I'm like, oh, I love that. But then I've seen DM do his own art, and then I look at it and I'm just like, that's awesome. I love that. And I'm just I can't really say anything other than that. And I could say, oh, I love the line work. Oh, I love the coloring. Oh, I love your attention to detail. And I'm just that's not why I love it. I just love it, and I also love the personalities of these creators as well. And I'm just That I get. You can't explain why you like certain art, but you can say, "Hey, I like." He doesn't wait for a response before continuing. This is exactly why. So, art is the sort of wild, uncontrollable thing that lurks somewhere deep in our subconscious. Now, why does it exist? Nomi apparently expects someone to pipe up with a guess, but as nobody dares to interrupt his inspired speech, he continues. It was a trick question. You see, art also validates itself. Generally speaking, you might say that art exists for no other purpose than itself. It's something that exists merely to leave a mark in history. It is a defiance of a mortal against the face of darkness. As was once said, art is truly the proof of our existence. You all should know that human culture and civilization are tightly tied to the existence of art. Then what about artists? What drives a man to dedicate his life to a thing so fickle and mysterious that it defies definition? There are many answers for this as there are artists, but if I had to put it to words, an artist doesn't make art because he can, but because he must. Wow. Wow. I get it. Because, for me, especially, not especially, that's the wrong word to use, but for me, whenever, I think of a story, I have to constantly be thinking of stories. I love thinking of my own headcanons for a show I'm watching, or kind of, tweaking, the concept, because I like concepts in a show, but not the show itself, and I'm like, I like your concept, let me tweak it, and so it's something that I enjoy, that I can create. And I'm like, I always do this with shows that I watch, and I'm like, I love creating stories, and there's no rhyme or reason for me to do it. I just love doing it. Nomiya takes pause, his gaze sweeps over his audience, eyes flaring with passion. It is obvious that art touches the very soul of each and every human being in one way or another. So if you were given a chance to connect with your fellow man in such a fundamental way, how could you not? There's a poem I'm very much fond of, and I shall recite the most well-known part of it that you know. I feel that for me personally, of all possible things, that it captures the best and the essence of what it means to be an artist. Nomiya leans against the desk as he clears his throat in preparation. Wow, I tongue-tied myself real bad for the last 30 seconds. Looking at some distant place, he utters the words in a heavy afternoon air with his soft basso voice. What's basso? To see the world in a grain of sand, and a heaven in a wild flower, to hold infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity in an hour. I know this poem. I forget who wrote it. Was it Frost? It can't be Frost. Hold on. Who wrote it? I don't remember who wrote it. To hold the world in a grain of sand. Who did this? William Blake! I remember you, Blake! Yeah, I've read this poem before. It was in a poetry class that I read. To see the world in a grain of sand and have a heaven... to see a world in a grain of sand and a heaven in a wildflower. Hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour. A robin redbreast in a cage puts all heaven in a rage. A dove... Wow... Good poem. I forget what we talked about for that class, because I'm not really much of a poetry person. I admit I've read poems, I've wrote poems, and I love poetry. I don't love poetry. I enjoy reading poetry, but to be fair, creating and constructing and deconstructing poetry is hard for me. I don't get it. It's hard because, in my mind, poetry is harder than prose. Sorry, I was replying to a comment on one of my videos. Poetry in my mind is harder than prose because prose allows you to do whatever you want as far as writing is concerned. There's less rules, and by that what I mean is in terms of form. In prose, you can literally do whatever you want, especially in fiction. If you do a fiction story, not an essay or anything like that, you can write however and whatever you want, within reason. It has to be in a way that, your readers will understand what you're writing, but also, you can, it's completely informal. You just have to follow basic grammar and you're fine. And even then, that's just in narration bits. If it's dialogue, however that character talks is how that character talks. You can do whatever you want. You Make him talk in an alien language that you fucking made up. Who knows? Who cares? Like, that's just the thing. It's so easy to write prose. It's so easy to write prose. It could be bad prose. Like, it could be my immortal levels of bad to, like, the greatest works of fiction of modern day. Like, I don't know. The thing is, you can't even say what the best works of modern fiction are. You can't. You could say, like, some of them are modern myths, like Rick Riordan's Heroes of Olympus or Harry Potter. It can be like prose can be from the worst of fan fiction to the greatest of novels, and like that's prose. And once again, like it's one of the things that's constantly improving. Poetry, on the other hand, has so many forms, and yes, you can do free verse, which doesn't have a form per se, but there is like a thing as like counting syllables, counting lines, making sure your stanzas are different, are in a certain line shape. Like, I often write free verse because I'm not good at writing other forms of poetry. I suck at writing other forms of poetry. I'm not good at it. But like, prose is so freeing to me because I get to once again create as many stories as I want. Which reminds me, I should update, because I have a Wattpad account, which I haven't touched in years because I've been really busy. But I've since updated one of the stories on my Wattpad. So I guess I could like just do a quick like re-upload of those stories, because like the latest one I'm really proud of, not as proud as I could be because I could easily change it, but I will at one point. There's a solid and unbelievably awkward silence after he finishes reciting the short fragment. Nobody dares speak a word. Nomiya clears his throat again. To be an artist is to see the world in a grate of sand. You see, dear children, without art there would be not much to live for in this world. It is the most profound thing. He is clearly touched by this notion. I almost expect to see a lone tear rolling down his rough cheek, but it never comes. That is very true. To be an artist, in any way, shape, or form, and here they're talking visually, you can see the universe in the smallest of things. You could see a universe in the smallest thing. For me, I see universes in concepts and ideas of story. I see universes in, like, everyday things. Like the smallest event could be an entire world. Everyone's world is different than your world. What you perceive is your world. What other people perceive is their world. And when I create a character, their world is just what they see. I write best in like first person, or actually no, third person limited. That's my preferred style of writing. That's preferred perspective of narration. It's so easy to construct a world around a character and have them experience things, because like it's just really fun. I admit, most of my recent works have been very down to earth, very like a character could be super powered and still just have experiencing extremely mundane things. That's something I've noticed about myself recently. And like when I was younger, I used to write these fantastic works. And I don't mean fantastic like they were great. I mean fantastic as in they were fantasy, like super high fantasy things. And like, I really want to go back to that. I really want to look at that story that I made years ago and just like redo it. Because the concept wasn't bad. The concept wasn't bad at all. It's just the execution was mediocre. It wasn't even amateur at best. It was clearly written by a beginner of this. And, like, I'm better at it now, and I could probably redo it in a way that makes so much more sense. But yeah, I really do want to go back to that. One day, I guess. I turned to Rin and whispered to her, "So how is this a discussion circle?" She shrugs nonchalantly back at me. The previous ones were the same. To his credit, Nomiya does try to get some debate going, but the club seems to be reluctant to comply. I feel a bit guilty about opening my mouth. Maybe we could have been spared from this. As the meeting comes to a close, I realize that we haven't touched on any paint or pens today, and I feel somewhat disappointed. Nomiya said, oops. Nomiya suddenly appears next to us. He seems to still be fired up from the speech he delivered. His clothes smells musky and saccharine at the same time. It gives me an instant headache. Even though I'm not sensitive to perfumes, he's looking at Rin like a hungry wolf. Tezuka, do you remember Mr. Sayonji who visited us at the festival? I think so. I'm going to tell you something amazing. The thing is, she's a very well-known gallerist around here. It says that I might be able to get her to consider having some of your work put on a display. He ends his sentence with a dramatic gesture. It seems he's expecting Rin to show some sort of joyous shock reaction at such grand news, but she just stares at him blankly. Magnificent, isn't it? This could be a real chance for us to get ahead, girl. But... Now, I know what you're about to say. Yes, it wouldn't be a simple affair, but I think it's an absolutely fantastic opportunity. Frankly, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we made it big. This couldn't be the first step. And then, when the word is out, we'll strike an alliance hot, right, Nakai? Yeah, it does sound pretty great, if you're into that sort of thing. See, we should definitely not let this one pass, am I right? I don't really... I see where the crux is, of Rin's character. I'm starting to see it. You see, Rin herself just wants to be able to paint. She hates deadlines, she takes it super casually, and it's very hard for her to get inspired. So what I'm seeing here is that this man right here is trying to get her to give her some gumption, to give her some get up and go. But it's hard because it's Rin. So I guess the crux here is that Rin doesn't want to be forced into this, but she feels like she's being forced. Rin seems to be troubled for some reason. I can't figure out why. What Nomiya is saying doesn't sound like a possibly great thing. She looks pretty down, though, and confused. I've never seen her like this. So, what do you think? Rin looks up at her teacher's glowing face, then back down at her desk. I'll think about it. Nomiya is at last taken slightly aback by Rin's lack of superlative detail. Then he smiles wildly at her and gently pats her head. Good girl. The club meeting is finally over as I laze to collect my things and help clean up. I start feeling exhausted for some reason. There isn't much to do. However, so let's go over quickly. And I'm going to end the part here. It's a little early, but I feel like it's a good stopping point. For all I know, I'm digging to myself again. It's about to cut away, but I've done this to myself before. So anyway, I guess there was a lot of me blathering in this part, cause I am an artist. I am a type of artist. I'm an artist in the colloquial sense of whatchamacall. I'm not an artist in the colloquial sense of I create things for people to see and look at. No, I don't create like pictures and paintings and do line art and do commissions and some things like that. I am a creative writer. I'm a person who enjoys taking the ideas in my head, putting them on paper, and creating characters. I love creating characters. I love creating a story. I love plot lines and things like that. Where was I going with this? I had a point and I forgot what it was. But yeah, it was a lot of me blathering, and because I'm my own artist, and like this was talking about why art exists and how it's hard to define, and how artists themselves are hard to define. It's very true. Art is so broad that it can include like almost anything. And sometimes it's bullshit, sometimes it's not. And like there's a lot of plagiarism, especially nowadays, but like, I don't know. Just a lot of things. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, hit the like button. If you want to see more videos from me from this series, hit the subscribe button. And you're not exiting the Shadyverse. My name is Shades, and hope you've enjoyed your day in the Shades. See you guys next time. Bye.